Hello, everybody. My name is Ed. I am in my armchair, and the smoking lamp is lit. And what am I smoking today? My favorite pipe. Pat, pay attention. My favorite pipe. Little side joke. What kind of pipe is it? It's a Ben Wade. Canadian. And it's Father's Day. And this is one of my dad's pipes. And boy, I'm having trouble with this guy. I didn't pack it as good as I should have. It's possible. This is a Ben Wade made in London. So there's no date on it, but that makes it an older date. It is possible, and I do not know the answer to this because I didn't ask, and I wish I did, but maybe I can just think about it. It's possible this was my dad's father's, my grandfather's pipe, because this is the type of pipe he liked. The kind of billiard, long, straight. That's what he liked. And this could be old enough for him, because this has been around for quite a while. But if not, it still is my dad's pipe. And today is Father's Day. Also today, the last day of the US Open. Golf, for those who don't understand. But in thinking about my dad, he didn't really watch television that much, but two things he did enjoy. He loved baseball, and he did enjoy watching golf. So a little remembrance of him. And also just thinking about that, I can remember when I was just a little kid, West Virginia, we lived right, not even a quarter of a block away, just on the other side of the street, a big field. My dad, considering how big this field was, my dad probably was just using a pitching wedge. And he would just get a bunch of balls. He'd hit them. Then, because I'd be standing by him. And then I'd go out and get the golf balls. And he'd give me nickel, dime, stuff like that. And a lot of times, me and maybe a friend of mine, or maybe even two, would be with him. He'd hit golf balls. We'd run out, grab all the golf balls, come back. He'd hit some more. We'd run back, and little things that just remember. And I kind of did. Okay, anyhow, today is the first day of Pipe Week. And as I mentioned before, for Pipe Week, a tradition that I've had, and in fact, I really do think I was the first to do this, although a lot of people are doing it now. I did a video every day of Pipe Week. You know, if you follow me, you know, I usually do my videos on Thursday. This is a Sunday. So, this is the videos of Pipe Week. And what I'm going to do with Pipe Week is I'm going to kind of break down, explain, whatever you want to call it, my videos. The stuff that I do every time. So, I writ it down. You can take notes too. Today is just kind of my pipe journey. Tomorrow, we'll be doing the videos showing my pipe collection. All of them, or if we get to them all. And also, we'll get into my back room where I clean up, build pipes. I used to do a lot more, but now it's just a nice cleaning, conditioning, whatever. But I have a nice little setup for that. So that will be tomorrow. Then Monday, the story and explanation of what the smoking lamp is. Many of you all have all heard it, but many of you, it's GNU. When I start my videos, I also are blowing a few smoke rings, and I'm sitting in my armchair. Kind of a little stories about that. By Thursday, I'll be quite tired, so Doc has volunteered to take over for me that day. The captain couldn't allow Doc to have a day, so Friday, the captain will be having his day. And then next Saturday, we'll explain kind of how my videos end. Pretty much all the time. So that's what's going to be Pipe Week. Sounds good? So today, a lot of you have heard this story before, but I'm just going to kind of do a recap of my pipe smoking. As you know, my grandfather smoked a pipe all the time. I don't have memories of my grandfather without a pipe in his mouth. So he was an old codger. My dad smoked cigars until I started smoking a pipe and started talking about pipes. And now he had some pipes, but he started smoking pipes. So this was probably 40, 45 years ago. Pretty much exclusively pipes. I started smoking. I kind of figured I would be, because that's what we did. But I was in the Navy at the time, and the sailors need to be pipe smokers. But I got out of boot camp and was transferred to Hawaii for signalman school. And at signalman school, even though it was like only a 12, maybe 15 person class that I was in, 2 of those guys smoked a pipe. And so I wanted to, I guess a good opportunity for me to do it. So I mentioned this to my mom, and she sent me my first pipe, which I still smoke. It's a no-name meerschaum lined billiard. But that was my pipe. Of course, I took that on my new ship. I kept it up in a signalman's cabin, which is where I would do most of my work. And so that's where I had my pipe, and I would sit out in the evenings out at sea, especially gorgeous, 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 going out to sea. A little bit later, we just covered this, Hong Kong, picked 2 pipes up, and then back in Hawaii, I got my 4th pipe, and that's how I got out of Navy. And then been picking up odds and end pipes all, throughout. Picked up bought my first meerschaum. Again, have them all. My sister got me that prized meerschaum that she bought in Ishtar, Turkey, from the actual carver of the pipe. And it is a gorgeous meerschaum. I also have my first church warden. My parents got me on a trip to London where they went to the Sherlock Holmes Museum. So I have a pipe from there. And of course, I was picking up odds and end pipes. My brother got me a gourd calabash. Love it. Have some funny stories about that. So that was my pipe smoking. When I turned in about 1990, I moved to Denver and started going to Tinderbox tobacco shop. And that's where they had sample packs. And that's where I discovered Philosopher. That was my pipe blend, still is. And for a long time, actually, till after I retired, that's all I really needed to smoke. I've always had it available. I'd pick up a blend here and there. There's a few other tobacco shops around, I get that. But I can always get Philosopher. So I've been smoking that now for 35 years. My favorite still, Philosopher. So the main thing, everything was just kind of normal for me until I retired. Obviously, I had too much time on my hands. But before I retired, I never was like on Facebook. I didn't really know this stuff. I didn't really care. I dealt with computers, main registers and stuff like that for work. I didn't really get much else. But after I'd been retired for about a year, I started thinking, I haven't gotten a new pipe lately. And I had now since moved from Colorado to, kind of the north of Philadelphia, an area where we had lived when I went to high school. And I decided I need a new pipe. And I went to all of the tobacco shops around here that are just drivable. None of them had pipes. They were already starting to shift to cigar only. So that's when I actually started going online. And never thought of shopping online. But I found a Sabanelli Paul, a 614, which I love. That, after all of this time, was also the first pipe that could have a filter. Everything else was non-filtered. No big thing. So now I could go online, and I kind of started looking at some stuff. But going online, I started watching some stuff on YouTube, just various odds and ends stuff, just giggles and grins. And with that, I did find a few pipe-related channels. And then also at that time, I started thinking, I have my dad's pipes. I have some mine that, fairly old now. I started thinking maybe something to do would be to learn how to recondition these pipes, clean them up and stuff. So I started going on YouTube for the first time to specifically look for stuff, and it was how to maintenance of the pipe. And I found all kinds of odds and ends channels, some that are just so stupid it was ridiculous. Even I knew they were stupid. But I started learning how to recondition my pipes. And that became my pipe hobby. I don't consider smoking a pipe a hobby. It's something I do. But reconditioning, working on the pipes, that's the hobby. That's when I started finding out on YouTube or eBay. I discovered eBay, and you would have pipes sold in bulk, 7, 10 pipes at a time. And it's like, great. It was very inexpensive. I'd buy them and I would practice on them. And personally, if I got 3 to 4 pipes out of that whole batch that I could fix up enough that I would smoke it, every one of my pipes, I smoke them, that'd be a win. Extra ones would be taken apart and used as parts if need be. That's how I started getting into a lot of pipes. Oh, what can we say? Anywho, that got me buying mass quantities of pipes. And then I also, looking around, started finding some nice pipes, the individual ones that I would like. I also found myself a person that I watched a lot was Bear Pipe, who did a lot of, his weekly video was how to do stuff, how to stain and everything. Learned a lot from him. And one of his videos was about Sexton Everson and how he got a flame grain pipe and wanted to collect flame grain pipes of his. And I was hooked. I already had a couple pipes that actually ended up being from a Sexton Everson design. And that was the starting of my collection of Stanwell pipes. I now have 140 Stanwell pipes. 73 are, I just counted them because that's this month's pipe smoking. 73 Sexton Everson pipes. A lot of those are duplicates because my favorite one, I have actually 6 different versions of the same pipe, you know, either with a spigot or naked one or, you know, whatever. So that got me going collecting, and found myself just looking at pipes. I've always been a collector, as you know. You know, I got keychains, you know, I have figurines, I got Toby mugs, I got Lighthouse collection. I've always been a collector, and I found myself just getting pipes. It's almost like for a while there, I really didn't need to. It's almost like I always wanted to have a pipe on the way. And that's kind of how I got to having so many of my pipes. I thought that maybe I might resell some of the pipes that I reconditioned, and then I kind of, no, I like it, I'll keep it. So I never did sell any. I've given some away to charity, veterans. And so that's my pipe collecting. I have a lot of pipes, a lot of special ones, a lot of groups, a lot of poker, a lot of meerschaum, a lot of stuff. We'll cover that a little bit more tomorrow. Along the way, and as you know, I am now over 6 years that I've been doing this YouTube videos, and those have slowly evolved. But originally, I was actually going to be doing it on refurbishing. I was actually going to be doing a little bit more of just how to do stuff. Before I actually started my channel, getting going, talking to friends, like, you know, is that really what I want to do? I got a lot of pipes. Maybe we'll just stick with doing the pipes. So anyway, that's it for today. The next video. Well, I hope you like this. And of course, will join me for the rest of the week for Pipe Week. Those videos will be a lot shorter than this one. This one I just had stuff to say. And remember, though, if you don't like this, you're not going to get to heaven. So may your smoking lamp always be lit. Take care out there.